So, right now, I want to talk to anybody who is currently in some sort of situation where they feel pretty unfulfilled, they feel unhappy, they feel like when they're in this position, they're wishing that they were a million other places. For a lot of you, that's probably going to be your job. Um, and I want to give you a little bit of insight that recently helped me kind of step into a different perspective where I am still in the same job, but I'm a lot more happy with where I am, and those feelings of wishing that I were a million other places doing a million other things has subsided. So, I work with kids with autism as a behavioral technician, and I want to preface this with I love those kids, and for what the job is, I do feel very fulfilled. But at the same time, the career that I want to go into is the career of personal development and building up my own business where I'm coaching and I have time, location, and financial freedom. That's my dream. That's what I'm working towards. And so this job that I have now isn't that. But so today, while I was at work, since I started the job, honestly, a lot of my days have been spent just feeling like I want to go home. I just want to be doing stuff for my business. I felt like I was taking time away from getting to where I want to be by being at this job. And so therefore I'm feeling unhappy at work. And that's a lot of time out of your week to be spent unhappy if you have to be somewhere for 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week feeling unhappy is too many hours. So I was pulling this kid around in this wagon and again, I say, I love this kid, and he was having the time of his life in the wagon. And so, being able to do that and be of service to him in that way, I felt very, very happy to do that. But at the same time, I was also caught up in my mind like, oh my gosh, what am I doing spending my time pulling a wagon around? Like, I need to be at home sitting in front of my computer with my notes and studying and doing what I can to be building up my coaching business because that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then it hit me so hard. Like, I was just sitting there kind of like fuming with myself. And I was like, Rylan, it doesn't matter whether or not you are at home doing your studies or you're here pulling this kid in the wagon because in either scenario, you are in your body, you are in your soul, you are you. You have you with you everywhere you go, always. And I think that's really just another way of realizing the power of the present moment. And then I also got to thinking, okay, so I know that if there were anywhere else that I needed to be, that that's where I would be. That I'm here in this very moment for some reason that I just don't know about yet. And then that made me think, okay, so looking back on my life, there have been many moments before where I've felt this, just like, oh, like I'm so unhappy with where I am right now. And every single time I have been able to look back and connect the dots and be like, oh, that's why I had to feel that way in that moment. And I'm able to see the ways that the universe's just divine map of my life always ends up being way better than I could have ever dreamed of for myself. And so to that point, now I can realize, okay, so if every single time in the past I've been able to realize that that happened for a reason, then that would have to mean that right here in this very moment, I'm feeling this way for a reason, and I'm right here, right now for a reason, and I just don't know what it is yet. And for the person who might be sitting here thinking, okay, Rylan, well, I've looked back on my life and I feel like things have never worked out, and that I've had a lot of moments that were really hard and sad that didn't end up turning out to be anything great. I promise you, I have felt those very things a lot in my own life. And I would encourage you to simply change your perspective on that. My favorite quote is Wayne Dyer: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I encourage you to get delusional and look back, really look back, and think about one thing from whatever experience it may be where you can extract some gratitude from that experience. Every time that I have had super low moments, sobbing in the shower moments, laying on the floor of the hallway, just completely inconsolable. Because I was previously made aware of the power of gratitude, I was able to, in those moments, remind myself, okay, my nervous system is completely out of whack right now. I feel like nothing is going to fix this but gratitude. And fight it. Fight it with yourself. Find the gratitude in it. And I promise you, if you can find one thing, quite literally in your body, in your brain, things are going to start to shift and you are going to realize that there's more to be grateful for from that experience than you ever realized. And when you now have that feeling of gratitude attached to this experience, you're able to see it differently. And again, this quote, when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. When you see things differently, you feel things differently. And that's all we ever want, is to feel things with joy and light and ease and peace. And I use the word delusional because it feels like that in the moment. It feels like this is not going to work. Like trying to just be grateful when there's nothing to be grateful for. Like, get delusional. Just try something even when you feel like it's going to be hopeless, whatever. Just do it and see what the hell happens. I mean, at that point, you've got nothing to lose. But anyways, that's exactly what I did in this scenario, is I decided to change the way that I perceived my situation of pulling around a wagon for 20 minutes out of my day and say, you know what? I get to be here with myself. And I love spending time with myself. And again, you're probably thinking, well, I don't love spending time with myself. Well, I am making it my mission to get as many people as possible to love spending time with themselves and to love, love, love themselves. And so, I mean, coming full circle, I think this is exactly how you're going to reach that point of loving yourself, is starting to change the way that you perceive your situations, is getting delusional and actively choosing to look at things a different way. We get to choose our thoughts. That is the only way that I have gotten to this point, is just by getting delusional and starting by looking in the mirror and at the time not liking what I see, but saying, you know what, I'm going to sit here until I find one thing that I do like. And sometimes it took a long time and sometimes it took a lot of crying, but I always am able to get there when I set the intention that even when it's feeling absolutely impossible, that I am going to feel grateful that I'm even taking the time to try for myself. It might start with that. It might start with just being grateful and proud of yourself for the effort. And I love the word resilient because that is what it takes. Stay resilient. It's going to be hard, but do it. It is so much easier in those moments to just be like, oh yeah, I want to feel negative. I want to beat down on this situation. Woe is me. But it is hard work to try and say, okay, I want to go down that path, but I'm going to choose the harder route. But be resilient. Choose your hard. My mom always says this, choose your hard. It's hard to think negatively too. So why wouldn't you rather just choose to think positive even when it's hard, and then have the potential outcome be joy and happiness and all the feel good feelings that we all want. So anyways, these are just a couple of things that have really, really worked for me, and I hope that it can be of service to you too.